Hey YouTube, so I guess one last video before I actually demonstrate making stuff or what I can do here. Uh, so this is a set of fairly cheap metric drill bits. So it goes from 1 millimeter to 13 millimeters in half a millimeter increments. I have used this drill set a lot. They're not super good. They cut hardened steel poorly. They dull quickly in really hard metals, but the truth of the matter is, this drill bit, I think I paid like this drill set, I think I paid like $30 for it, and I've had it for a bunch of years, and I have somehow or another lost the 4.5 millimeter one, so I scrounged one from someplace else, and I've snapped off, I think, the 2 millimeter one and bought another one of those. Otherwise, they're all here. The only bit that's been any kind of a real problem is this 12 millimeter one. So the cutting edges here have gone to pot for some reason. And so right here at the bottom, about to like right there. I mean, it's going to be a lot of metal to make that back to good again. But down to right about here, the clearing flutes on here are undersized now. It's like the metal wasn't properly hardened. But all the rest of these bits have done really well. You know, they dull a little faster because they're not super hard, high-speed steel, but they have drilled 10,000 holes. And that brings me to the next part, which is if you're going to buy cheap drill bits, expect to sharpen them more often, whereas with more expensive ones, you'll sharpen them less. But nevertheless, you will probably still sharpen them. So I recommend, as something else, as an accessory, get a drill doctor. Don't get the cheap one. The 750 is the one you really want to get. With one exception. I think there's one step down from this, which is probably okay too. I think the difference between this one and like the 600 is the next smaller one, is you don't have this adjustment on there, which allows you to adjust one of the angles on here. I forget what that one does. But anyway, oh, that's right. So it makes the point pointier or less pointy. But yeah, I would have to say that I never adjust this. I leave it at 100 and whatever that is, I can't tell. 118 degrees, always. I never ever change it to anything else. But Drill Doctor, they're fairly cheap. But once you break in the wheel, so inside there, that diamond wheel in there, when you first get them, this wheel is super rough. And so the first, I don't know, 20 bits or so that you sharpen, the finish on them is pretty rough. It's not attractive at all. I was really disappointed when I first got the thing, and that was almost exclusively because that diamond wheel hadn't been broken in yet. The diamond coating on there was super rough, and so it leave lots of score marks in the drill when you would sharpen one. However, as time has gone by, the wheel has smoothed out. Let's see if this is what I'm looking for. Yeah, that one will do. So I don't know how well that's going to show up on the camera, but you see how rough that looks? That's like a bit that I sharpened originally on the thing. So it looks super rough. Whereas just recently, that 12 millimeter I pulled out, I've just recently sharpened it. And the finish is much shinier. There's not all the deep scratches and grooves in it. It's much more polished. And basically, I just needed to break in the diamond wheel. It was just too rough being brand new. So it really scratched up the drill bits when it was new. But this thing has also sharpened 100,000 drill bits. Well, okay, not 100,000. It's sharpened a bunch of drill bits. And the diamond wheel will sharpen carbide drill bits. So I couldn't tell you which one, but this little guy right here, that's like 1/8 inch. That's like a $15 drill bit. Anyway, one of my carbide drill bits, which I use for drilling in hardened shaft and other hard steels, I shattered the tip on it. Fortunately, it didn't break in half or something. Well, I indexed it just like any other drill bit because it's what it is. just a drill bit, just different, harder metal. Index it in the drill doctor. Took a little bit longer to sharpen it because it's much harder steel, but or much harder material because it's carbide, not steel. But nevertheless, I was able to put a new edge on the thing, and I've been using that carbide drill with the new edge on it ever since. Of course, I'm much more careful with it now and haven't shattered the tip. But a drill doctor, at least get I think it's a drill doctor 600. You won't get this tilting mechanism in here, but otherwise so it's a tilting mechanism, and this over here, it puts like a spur point, puts a second cut on your drill, so that you don't have that larger web in the middle with the wide flat spot. But honestly, I'd have to say this is a complete waste. I never ever use that. It doesn't do a very good spur point. In fact, I'd say it sucks balls. But yeah, like the 600 version, it doesn't have the swivel assembly. It doesn't do that star point, which frankly you don't need either one. You want to put a standard cut on a drill bit. You know, that shape. That works super well. It's very reliable, and it's consistent. And the drill doctors will do that. All the models will do that, at least. And that's the important thing right there. Anyway, I have dulled many drill bits over the time that I've had this thing, which is, I guess, 2.5 years. And I had lots of drill bits that were already dull. And this thing has brought every last one of them, including carbide ones, back to life again. So a drill doctor is a huge tool to have in your possession, because you will be drilling holes. So you saw my metric set. Well, here is, I wish the light was a little bit better right here. Let me see if I can help that some. Yeah, there we go. Yep, those gooseneck lights sure are helpful. So this is a tin-coated, again, high-speed steel, kind of cheap drill bit set of similar size to the metric one, but this one's all SAE. The titanium nitride coating, it's a waste of time. I wouldn't bother with it. It doesn't make the drill bits last any longer. But again, these drills get used extensively. There's one that I've sharpened, and I've sharpened plenty of them. Here we go. There's one. So yeah, there's, you know, when you need to sharpen it, your titanium nitride coating is gone, so it's not really useful. But yeah, see, there's one that I've had to sharpen. But yeah, they're having metric and SAE bits is definitely worthwhile. Here we go. Here's one of those spur cut tips on here that are just a complete waste of time. So if you look on there, it didn't really cut a star on the end, you know, that second bevel cut to make the point smaller. All it did was like flatten out the flutes. Complete waste. Just not worth the time of day. I have experimented with that little piece in there, that little functionality in the drill doctor, and eventually abandoned it because it sucks. It is just not worth the time of day. Just don't. Get like the 600 version. It's going to cost you a little bit less money, and you won't have that extra little point cut, or you won't have that swivel function, or both. But you don't need either one. So drill doctor and good drills and a drill press with all the stuff that I've done are other accessories, if you will, that are highly useful